Hello and welcome. You're watching Ask PQ on Bloomberg Quint Live. I am Agam Vakil and with me is Alex Matthew. Good afternoon, Alex.
Good afternoon, Agam. Well, if you've got questions on equity, then you can send those questions to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and WhatsApp. You can also call us on 022454044141 or you can mail us on askpq@bloombergquint.com. Just make sure to add the Ask PQ hashtag. Markets as flat can be?
Well, as usual, and nothing, alarming about that, considering this is exactly how we've seen the first half of the trading session pan out for our benchmark indices. So, again, with respect to the Nifty trading marginally in the red, we're seeing Sensex, exactly where we saw it close yesterday, say for perhaps 10 odd points here and there. The Nifty Banking Index, however, has gathered some steam. It's up as much as nearly 0.6%, largely on account of the gains seen in Axis Bank and ICICI Bank. A lot of gains come in there. There you have it. That's where the big chunk of your gains are coming in. So clearly the big movers for the day: Axis Bank up 4%, ICICI Bank up 3.5%, Bajaj Finance making the dash back to 2,600 rupees per share. So, of course, this was also on the back of very good earnings. Look at Indiabulls Housing Finance, that's down 4%. Bharti Infratel and HPCL are down 3.5%. So, a lot of weaknesses being seen there as well. And again, it's been a lackluster day of trade, Alex, with the WIX also coming off. So. Well, not too much to speak for.
All in the run-up to the budget. Let's see how big the announcements therein are and how they impact all of us. But in the meanwhile, let's get our two experts in for the day. We've got Fidai, who's a technical analyst and mentor, who's joining us in the studio. We've also got Gaurang Shah of Geojit Financial Services. They're both here to answer all of your questions. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. I want to start with a technical query first. This one from Subhash, the first query we have on YouTube. This is on NMDC, Mr. Fidai, and on JK Paper. Between the two, JK Paper currently trading at 129 or thereabouts, and we got NMDC that is trading at 95. Between these two, Subhash is asking which is the best with a one-year perspective.
Well, seriously, I would if you give me an option, then I would go for NMDC because it's there is a bit small downside. In JK Paper, there is more space there.
But let me not trap you here. Given the choice, would you pick either of these, or would you pick a third option? I would avoid both. So which would you choose in the?
I would avoid both.
I know, but if you were not to choose these two,
okay, then I said NMDC.
With a one-year perspective.
Yeah, one-year perspective, NMDC probably it can see a jump of almost 20%.
I'm saying apart from NMDC and JK Paper, would you pick a third stock?
There are so many. Like I would like to buy Info Edge, Naukri.
Okay.
Okay, well, there you have it. Moving on to a query from Mank Saraf. He wants fundamental views and he perhaps a preference between Merck, Pfizer and Novartis with a 2 to 3 year time horizon. Gaurang, good afternoon to you. Some very interesting, stocks, especially given the fact that all of them are foreign-owned stocks. Merck, Pfizer and Novartis. How are you placed on these?
Well, good afternoon to all of you all, Agam. So I think all three are niche and marquee names as far as MNC pharma business is concerned. And there has been additional news flow as far as Merck is concerned. But again, these are stocks which you normally hold on for generations together and they create wealth in your portfolio. Unfortunately, because of regulation, we do not have coverage on either of them, but I have looked at the companies and I have looked at the balance sheet and I have looked at the pedigree. And on all those parameters, I think it's a class above companies, but because of regulations, I can't comment personally.
Okay, all right. Let's take a short-term query. I believe Ashwa's first question on JK Paper was already answered in the first query that we took today. Ashwa, your second question is on Andhra Sugar, and you're asking whether it can be bought at current level for the next 6 to 9 months. The stock is currently, it hit a 52-week low today, and it's back up to above 300 at the moment.
Stock is a quality stock actually. Let me pull up the stock on my this thing. Yeah, it's a. I would go long, but seriously, like looking at the chart right now, avoid. Go long on dips. Probably it can come all the way down to means you can see it come to almost like, let's say, yeah, 300 would be a good area, but keep a stop loss at 294.
Okay.
And below that, don't stay long, because then it would be like, waterfall all the way down, maybe, maybe to 200 also.
Okay.
So wouldn't be happy to buy anything below 294.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Fidai, if you can come in on HDFC Standard Life, we also want a technical view there. We have Sivakumar, who wants a short-term view. It's currently at 364, and it has certainly come off from around the levels of 380, 390 that it is used to trading around. How are you seeing trade here?
It could go all the way down to, right now it is falling, so I would avoid. And if it breaks below 355, I would not even touch it. There could be more openings over there. And the stock could do like, the lifetime low that it has done earlier, around 310.
Okay.
So that was the IPO listing day.
Correct, yes.
That would be the price we can retest again if it breaks below 344 something.
Okay.
Okay. Vivek Kanodia has got a question for you, Gaurang. Two stocks, one RBL Bank, in which he's got 100 shares that he bought at 512 levels, so he's in the green here. The stock up and about in trade today, about 2% higher. And he's also got CDSL. He's bought 200 shares of CDSL at 292. He's looking for a long-term perspective on both. Should he continue to hold for the long term?
So on RBL Bank, Alex, we had a subscribe during the IPO, and then we have a fundamental standalone recommendation with a 18 to 24 months time horizon. And earnings that the bank delivered over the last couple of quarters were much better than what our estimates were on some of the parameters, if you will. And of course, going forward, I think with the way transformation is happening for banks, especially private as well as public sector banks, opportunities galore in terms of loan book growth, both corporate, retail, etc., etc. And penetration into newer geographies will help the top line and bottom line numbers. So hold on to RBL Bank, and bad days you can even look at averaging or making fresh investments. CDSL, unfortunately, this is a company which, in terms of innovation, lacks a lot of business strategies, if you will. From the level that it is at right now, I think it has done what it has to do. I would request him to, if he wants to make a switch, then FMCG, Dabur or Marico would be a preferred bet, or a frontline company called Geojit Consumer Products, which has corrected maybe 5-6% on fallback of some disappointing numbers, is a great opportunity.
Gaurang, there's one more question for you. We have Voice of the Lamb, and he has actually some unusual names on his list. First one is Tata Steel Bhushan Steel, so Tata Steel BSL, and the other one is IDFC First with a horizon of 5 to 10 years. What is your say on both these stocks with respect to the long term?
So going for Bhushan Steel, Tata Steel Bhushan, going for Tata Steel. Metal stocks have corrected, Agam. I think it's a great opportunity to buy. And you should, according to fundamentals and my belief, you should always buy the company which is taking over a company. The second one, IDFC Bank, I think with a 5-year perspective, a lot of things look very promising after the merger with Capital First. And I think opportunities will evolve with the kind of, networking of branches that Capital First had with respect to semi-urban and rural India. And if you're looking for long-haul investment, I would definitely recommend.
Okay, well, this next question is from Ramesh, and it's on a counter that has seen significant correction along with that entire NBFC pack. In fact, Grow Finance, the stock is trading at around 213 or just about that 210 level, down about 1% in trade today. Ramesh has bought at levels of 265. His question is for you, Mr. Fidai. Should he average at these levels for the medium term?
I wouldn't advise an average on this stock, because already there is a corporate announcement of a merger with the bank, Bandhan Bank. So seriously, it will be like, tagging along with the Bandhan Bank.
Yeah.
So best thing would be for him to book losses around 242 if for some reason it jumps up to that area, because I don't expect it to go anywhere above 247. So 242 would be a good area where he can book profits and book his losses, maybe a nominal loss, but he can shift that money to some quality stock.
Okay, all right. Of course, there's an upcoming IPO coming, and yeah, that's Chalet Hotels, and we have Riddhesh Shah who wants to know if it can be subscribed into for opening day gains. Gaurang, can you comment on this? Are you tracking this IPO, Chalet Hotels? First, if you are tracking this, would you subscribe for it as an investment? And second day, do you think it could see opening day gains?
This is like shooting an arrow in the wild and the dark. First of all, we don't have any note on the IPO fund, so I would refrain from commenting. But let me comment on the sector. And the sector, if you go to see Agam, hospitality business has actually gone through a lot of pain. And one of, days, weeks, you see some amount of performance coming in because purely this sector is an underperformer in that radar. With respect to the environment and the competition, well, you have a lot of competition. And of course, I don't see any likely possibility of great revision upwards of room tariffs or occupancy rate going up. And, listing gains is something that I am not qualified to comment on. I would not, if I was in the investor's place, I would not possibly bet my money on this.
Okay, fair call. Let's talk about Zamir's query next. This one's for you, Mr. Fidai. Yeah. He's talking about Voltas, which is currently trading around 535. He's asking for a 1 month view. Would you recommend a fresh entry?
He should, if he wants to go into 1 month kind of stock, then he should buy above 547, and the stock can rally all the way up to 580, 590 also. And right now, if he wants to enter at this level, it's a low risk area. Try buying near around 530 and keep a stop loss at 522.
Okay, a lot of questions on Sterlite Technologies. We have one question from Puneet Nanda and another one from Indrajit Yadav. They both want a technical view on Sterlite Technologies. I believe Indrajit has bought it at 320, so he's making a little bit of a loss. His question is if he can actually add more at these levels. Mr. Fidai, how are you seeing trade on Sterlite Tech?
I would rather advise him to sell on rise to 261, 275. Today also I have covered this stock in hot money. This was my stock on hot money today. Sure. And he can also watch that. And probably the stock is like, in for a tailspin. It is headed towards all the way to 208 to 210. So it has broken major supports across technically. So I wouldn't want to buy this. Rather, I would advise the Mr. Indrajit and the other viewer to get out as early as possible if it comes to, if it shows a bounce back to 261, 275.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, another stock that has been in focus. Let's pull up DHFL while we're talking about this. It has been in focus, remember. Certain allegations made. The company has very strongly denied these allegations. Without going into all of that, Gaurang, the stock is currently about 5% lower today. What would you recommend for people who are currently holding? We've got Rahul Katare, who's got 378 or rather 160 shares that he bought at levels of 378. The stock is significantly lower than that. So what should he do with it?
I'm sorry, Alex, can you repeat the name of the stock? I skipped the audio.
We're talking about Diwan Housing Finance.
Again, no specific coverage, and news flow is out there in public domain for the last almost about, I think, 3 or 4 months since the time we had this default scare, as we call it, for the NBFC stroke housing finance companies. And now you have another joker in the pack in terms of the SPVs of IL&FS. The ghost following with whatever happened with IL&FS. No specific coverage, but you need to be extremely careful when you're buying names in the market, wherein in the public domain you have a lot of negative news flow. You need to be extremely cautious.
Okay, Gaurang, coming on Bajaj Finance too, it continues to pleasantly surprise investors and shareholders, but of course it's also trading at very heady levels as it has over the past, well, I would say a couple of years now. What's your advice? Neil Parekh, who wants a view?
So I think a very steady run rate, and as I was just answering Alex's question with respect to the NBFC stroke housing finance companies and the scare that the market got in the month of September, October with respect to the news flows that circulated in social media about defaults of XYZ companies, etc. This company corrected to maybe 2000 or sub 2000, correct me if I'm wrong. We remain positive then, we remain positive now, and I think numbers that came out yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, Agam, I think 45% plus kind of a growth rate looks quite interesting long term.
Hold on for the long term is a call on Bajaj Finance. Let's take a short-term query now. Pradeep has bought shares of Indian Energy Exchange at a level of 155. He's bought 2,000 shares and he intends to hold this, even though it's a relatively illiquid counter, Mr. Fidai.
Yeah, and technically also we have a limited data. Actually, we have only 1 year of data on this stock. So, like, you know, to give a view of a 1 year data with 1 year oversight, it becomes very difficult. But I can give you an extreme short-term, you know, call on this. Rather, it can be like, you know, bought around this area. Or if he already has, then he should keep a stop loss at 148. And below that, he should not be holding the stock, because then it could see more correction over there. Because right now it is consolidating quite, and it's a volatile stock also. That's why I have to give a bit deeper stop loss around 144. And like, you know, it has got support at 150-ish and 152.
Okay.
So till it holds this area, you can be safe, but below 144, get out.
Okay, well, that's a really short term. Of course, over the last 6 months, as you've seen on the screen, it's a very volatile stock. Gaurang, would you have anything to add on this counter, Indian Energy Exchange? Would you recommend holding on for the long term?
So when when you have a company which offers a platform for a sector which has been underperforming, I'm talking about power generation, distribution, transmission, I think there's very little that you can expect in terms of performance. And again, in India, the sad part, Alex, is that you have elections almost every year in some part of the country or the other. And whenever you have these elections coming, power becomes a puppet with political parties because freebies are offered. But I'm optimistic in terms of power generating companies. I'm not optimistic about the energy exchange. And from the time it got listed, it has been an underperformer. And I don't think this stock would see light of the day anytime sooner or later, as a matter of fact.
Well, a couple more sectors which may see an impact of government policies is agriculture and realty. Gaurang, we have a question from Naresh Murjani. And he wants a long-term view on Kaveri Seed Company and Kolte Patil. Do you track any of these? Your views on the sectors, perhaps?
Kaveri Seed, we were tracking, and stock was at, I think, 4,000 levels. And then because of certain news flows, negative news flows, if you will, on the management side, stock corrected to sub 500 or below that. Then you see some recovery coming through. We have kind of, reviewing our coverage on Kaveri Seeds. So I would, restricts my comments on Kaveri Seeds. But I think, I'm sorry, which was the second stock?
Patil. Kolte Patil, Gaurang.
So in the real estate space, a lot has happened post demonetization, GST, and of course the greatest game changer going by the Real Estate Regulation Act. Kolte Patil happens to be under coverage, but it's very close to our target price. So if the investor has not bought it, buy it on dips. If bought it on rallies, you can possibly try to book your profits and come out. And as an alternative investment in the real estate sector, I would advise him to either look at Shobha Limited, Mahindra Life, Godrej Properties.
Okay, fair call. Well, that's a view on the real estate space, specifically on Kolte Patil. Let's take Ujjwal Kumar's query. He's got a question on Federal Bank. He hasn't invested yet, but he's considering doing so at levels of 85. The stock is down about 1.5% or a little over that. Mr. Fidai, for the short term, what are the targets that you see and what is the stop loss that you can recommend?
Like he should keep a stop loss below 81. Okay, because this is a stock otherwise is making a higher top, higher bottom, and it has been able to cross 200 DEMA in short term. So probably we can see this stock again jump up to and retest the area of 97. So he can take a bet here. It would be a low risk bet here. So if you can buy around 84, 83 and keep a stop loss just below 78, so maybe 78, 80 or something, that would be good for him.
Okay, Mr. Fidai, we have two more stocks for you. We have Chandrasekhar, who wants a view first on GAIL. Let's talk about that first. He's got shares at around 324. It's currently at 322. How are you seeing trade on this one?
Just a moment, because I was looking at GAIL earlier, and somehow I was not particularly bullish. If the stock falls, let me pull the stock first.
Sure.
Let's see.
Of course, that's your intraday view. It's not doing too much on an intraday basis.
So basically, the stock needs to stay above 315. If it's unable to do that, then in extreme short term, it can even go to the previous spike, that freak trade that it had done because of that 1 rupee government subsidy around 295. And if it breaks that also, then we can see more bloodbath on the stock. So if he wants to hold, he should hold with a stop loss around 315.
Okay, and the other stock was Larsen and Toubro. He has it at 1380, and again he wants a 6-month view. So again, it's slightly below his entry price.
Yeah, but overall, when you see a long-term chart of L&T, L&T looks awesome, on the chart. The person can even add on dips if he wants around 1200. And he can expect the stock to come all the way back to 1450-ish. Like the moment market reverses a bit and you see some positive traction, it can go all the way up to 1450, and anything above 1480, 1500 would be into an uncharted territory. Okay. And then stock would be a good bet for a very long-term hold, and you can see even 2000 plus also on that.
Okay. Outperformance on an earnings front and outperformance seemingly on the chart, according to Mr. Fidai, on L&T. Let's get a question from Facebook in. We've got a question from Satish, who hasn't told us his... Okay, well, I was going to take this to Gaurang, but it appears that we're having a bit of an issue with the connection. Let's take a question on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty expiry, Mr. Fidai. It might just be a little hard for you to hazard a guess, considering the way that we've been going.
I usually don't do trades, and I don't do expiry trades also. Okay. Most of the time I avoid, because they are too volatile. Yeah. And the money that you make is maybe you make one day and you break on 3 other expiries. Yeah, sure. So it doesn't seriously make sense. So I would advise the viewer not to do it unless he is very expert on it. And he can do it on options and all that, so take a limited risk and take a bet. Okay. But I would say, seriously, I am out of Nifty trades seriously right now. Okay. And extremely short term, it has given a negative breakdown. So wouldn't be a bullish bet on right now, but post budget we can see some kind of pullback probably. Okay.
We've got a number of short term questions coming in. Let's address some of them. Agam, we've got Cummins. Let's pull that up and see where it's currently trading. Saftar Junaid is asking a question on Cummins. Stock is trading just under 800. He has bought about 20 shares at 840 levels, and he's asking for a technical view.
Well, the stock is very positively placed right now. Also, you can hold this with us because it is just trading about 200 DEMA. Though it has seen a little bit of correction in extreme short term, but I believe the stock is making a higher top, so one can go long and hold it. Maybe if it crosses 895, you can expect it to even go to 1000 also.
Okay, I think we have, it's time to hit the rapid fire segment. So I'm going to quickly go across to our experts, request them to keep their answers within one sentence. Again, coming back to you, Mr. Fidai, HUDCO, 6 months view. We have Kaushal Patil, who wants to know what can be done with it. Can we pull up HUDCO? It's at around 41.5. How are you seeing the charts?
Well, 40 is a very strong support. If it holds, then you can stay long. Overall, the stock is not looking bad. It's consolidating after a huge fall since the listing. And I believe it can go up to 552 also. Okay.
Okay. Gaurang, not very often I get to say this. Somebody, Indrajit, is holding NBCC and he is not losing money. He's he bought at 54. Should he hold on or should he sell off at these levels?
Yeah, even I have come across an investor who is making money in NBCC, Alex, after a very long time. But on the fundamental side, we remain positive. And if you have a long-term time horizon, our target stands at about 115 to 120. And one thing is quite clear, in the time of election, I think approvals to execute project would come in very slow. Post that, I think the execution should pick up.
Okay, moving on to Sudhanshu Pandey, a view on Infosys bought at 726. Mr. Fidai, a short-term view, as well as, if possible, if you can also provide us an intraday view here.
Intraday is very difficult for me right now. I don't trade intraday and I don't look at intraday charts.
Sure.
But seriously, like short-term view, he can go long, keeping a stop loss below 690. And on the upside, if it crosses 760, 765, you can expect it to go all the way to 1000 also, because that's an uncharted territory.
Okay.
Any view, Gaurang, on Prakash Industries? We've got Sandeep Solanki, who's got 5,000 shares that he bought at 150.
I think I'm assuming this is a classic case of a short-term bet going wrong and then converting into long-term. And again, this is another company, Alex, which has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. When you have negative news flows in the public domain, why on earth you want to go and buy such companies?
Okay, well, we've run out of time on the show, so I'm going to take a moment to thank both our experts, Mr. Fidai and Gaurang, for helping our viewers in taking their queries. And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Ask BQ. Up next is Power Lunch. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Queens.